Yo, man. Welcome back to another episode of For the Love of the Game. I'm back. I took a slight hiatus, man. You know what I'm saying? I've had a hard 2 to 3 months. I've had a harder even 2 to 3 weeks. You know what I'm saying? I've been gone for like 2 weeks. But I'm back. You know what I'm saying? And it feels good. You know, it feels good to be back, I must say. Back in front of all the GOATs, you know what I'm saying? In front of all the monumental folks. Back in my place, you know what I'm saying? This is my area. So during my hiatus, right, I've missed out on a lot of things. So we got to talk Chris Paul. And that's all we're going to talk about why I missed. But then we're going to talk about the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference Finals. All of that next. First things first, dog, Chris Paul. All right. So as we know by now, the Phoenix Suns, the 64-win Phoenix Suns, the arguably head and shoulders better than every team in the NBA Phoenix Suns, the Chris Paul-led Phoenix Suns, the young phenoms of Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, the twin 3-and-D, Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, three big lineup, Ayton, Biyombo, JaVale McGee, however you want to slice it. The number 1 seed Phoenix Suns lost to the number 4 seed Dallas Mavericks, right? More importantly, the number 1 seed Phoenix Suns were up 2-0 on the Dallas Mavericks. The Phoenix Suns were also up 2-0 last season in the NBA Finals against the Milwaukee Bucks, and they won 4 straight. Milwaukee did. Fast forward this series with Dallas. Dallas wins the next 4 out of 5 games. Chris Paul, of the last 5 games of the series, he averaged like 9 points, 3 assists, 3 turnovers. 9 points. Chris Paul. Okay, let me try to not go too hard. But the question is, did this loss hurt his resume? I'm not a big one game, one series can mess up a player's resume, but the point is, right now, we are way past the number 1. This is where we at. Chris Paul is 0-7 in his last game 7s. He has lost 5 series where he leads 2-0. So he's 0-7 in his last 7 game 7s. That's a lot of 7s right there. And now he's lost 5 series where he leads 2-0. We talk about him being a winner, but he's not a champion. That's because he squabbled his opportunity last year. You were up 2-0 in the finals. I know you played arguably the greatest player in the world, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I know you did. But you had the lead, right? That is something that you want to finish. That is a series that had the Suns' name written all over it. CP also did not play well to end the series in that series and ended up losing it. That's your ring right there. Now you come back all season. We have said we cannot wait for the clash of the Phoenix Suns and the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. What team is better? We truly didn't know what team was better. Well, now we'll never know. And I think we do know. But Phoenix has a lot of questions, right? DeAndre Ayton played 17 minutes in that game 7. They're down by 40 at one point in that game 7. But I'm going to take my foot off the gas a little bit and say that, you know, to me, a game 7 is a place you never want to be in, right? Game 7 is a place that you want to take care of business before it reaches a game 7. Because you ask anybody, a game 7 can go either way. And the Suns just picked the worst night possible to go out and shit the bed on game 7, right? They picked the worst time to have a shooting slump. Cam Johnson, right, is their leading scorer with 12 points. Like I said, DeAndre Ayton played 17 minutes. Chris Paul, Devin Booker, 11 points. It was the worst night that they could have. And then you flip to Luka. He comes and gives them a 30-point double-double. He misses 7 shot total, 5 threes. It's the tale of 2 tapes. You got Phoenix, who couldn't hit a shot. Maybe momentum was shifted towards Dallas already. They just had won game 6 in Dallas. And then you had Luka, who, when I had said it, I said it, you know, to some of my family members and everything. Luka's the guy who could come out and put up an insane 40-point triple-doubles, what I said, and really upset the Phoenix Suns. It didn't take all that. It took a 30-point double-double, and they won by 40. where they were up by 40 at one point, 30 in the first half. Luka had as many points as the whole Phoenix Suns team did in the first half. You know what I'm saying? We got to talk about what it did to his resume. He is a winner. He takes every franchise and he improves their record every single season. There's no doubt about it. But moral is, when you're up 2-0, you're 2 games away from finishing the series. He's let that opportunity slip 5 times. 5 times. Game 7, one of the biggest games in basketball. It comes down to one game. The biggest moments, the best 2 words in basketball, Game 7. He's 0-7 in his last 7. You know, it's cool to get your team there and have a valiant effort and do all these things, but at a certain point, you got to get over the mountaintop. You got to win it. I don't know what it did to his resume, but this is equivalent to that Dallas loss that LeBron had when he lost to the Mavericks. Go figure. But now let's go to the Eastern Conference, Western Conference Finals. We just talked about, you know, did that loss hurt CP's resume? The question got to be now, is what Jimmy Butler does in the playoffs, is that helping his resume? You know what I mean? Because Jimmy Butler has had 5 40-point games in his career, right? In his playoff career. None of them have happened in the regular season. He's had 5 40-point games in his career. None have happened in the regular season. So when you get to the postseason, Jimmy Butler, he's a machine. Now, let's turn that to this current postseason. He's had 3 of them. He had a 40-point triple-double in the finals. Not sure where the 5th one came from. But they're all at big, crucial moments. And let's not forget, when I ask you, is he a superstar? Let's not forget 2 years removed, him playing that Lakers team in the bubble. Of course, he had the one huge game of the 40-point triple-double, but he also played well throughout that series. Now, the game following that 40-point triple-double, he had no energy, he had no legs, he was off. But he had a great series that whole time. So factor that in. Factor in every team he goes to, he's arguably the best player on that team. He goes to the Timberwolves. This is the first time the Timberwolves have been back to the playoffs without Jimmy Butler since like that 2016, was it? It was something like that. He goes to Philly. They break that team up to keep Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons. You heard how he felt about that leaving the arena. But they break that team up and they lose on a Game 7 buzzer beater to the defending champions. He made that team way better. So when you look at Jimmy's track record, he went to Miami. In his first season in Miami, he went to the finals. I remember because he said something in the summer about like everybody's looking at it like he can't hoop, like he's not a good player. I remember that. Another guy for the Miami Heat who came out and spoke this offseason, Tyler Hero. He said, honestly, I should be in the same category with Trae Young and Luka Doncic and Ja Morant and all those guys. He came out and he won Most Improved Player. It's a culture thing over there. Jimmy, this postseason, is averaging 30 points, 5 assists, 7 rebounds. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, he had 41 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, 3 blocks. The first time a player has ever had those kind of numbers since steals and blocks were counted. He only missed 7 total shots. And then when you factor in Jimmy Butler, right? DeMar DeRozan was in MVP talks this season because he had multiple 40 balls, and a lot of it was from the mid-range and getting to the free throw line and layups. He's an old-fashioned bucket getter, make tough shots. Him and Jimmy Butler in that same category as they don't play pretty. Jimmy Butler does not fit any of the new stereotypical basketball. He doesn't shoot threes. He's a two-way, so two-ways are always a little more under-glorified or whatever word I'm looking for, but he doesn't get the most praise. He's a two-way. And then you factor in, and he's just a gritty player. So once you factor all that in, that's not what a lot of people would label a superstar, right? The way Jimmy Butler is, a lot of people wouldn't label that a quote-unquote superstar. But in fact, he plays hard. In any of the biggest moments, he's there for his team. I just mentioned a 40-point triple-double in the finals. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, he has 41. He's had 5 40-point games, 3 this postseason. When it's money time, Jimmy Butler's there. So he makes every team better, just like Chris Paul. He hasn't won a championship either, but if you go to the finals 2 out of the 4 years, You're in pretty good company. And, they got the Celtics. And the Celtics missing Al Horford and Marcus Smart in that game was big, right? Tatum, Brown, and Pritchard were the leading scorers, but none of them shot well. That's because Marcus Smart is not only their best defender, right? The defensive player of the year, he's their point guard. It's hard to get scores in a rhythm without their point guard. That's why Marcus Smart has been so pivotal this season for the Celtics, because he gets guys in positions to where they score the ball. He knows when Tatum has been rolling, or maybe Tatum isn't rolling and Jaylen Brown needs a touch. He knows that Tatum hasn't been rolling. Let's get Tatum maybe isolated on the slot, get him his side step. Let's get him on the post. He knows how to get guys the ball. He knows how to drive and kick and penetrate, and he knows when to score himself. So they missed out on that. They tried to let Peyton Pritchard in to fill that role. There's no word on Marcus Smart tonight, but we know Al is at least out for game 2. But they got big minutes from Rob Williams. So Rob Williams dealing with a sprained-ish meniscus, right? Because he's in, he's out, he's in. Hey, he battling though. It's the playoffs. So I ain't knocking it, but I'm saying valuable minutes from Rob Williams. He's giving them all he has. And I got to pick a winner for this series, though, because I haven't done that. I ain't been here. I got Boston in 6. Both of these teams play the exact same way, right? They can both switch 1 through 5. They both have depth. They both rely on their defense just as much as their offense. But the difference is Boston has more guys. You know what I mean? They have Jason Tatum. They have Jaylen Brown. They have a Grant Williams who just stepped up in Game 7. They have an Al Horford who has been dominant all postseason. They have a Peyton Pritchard off the bench. They have Adam Thies or whatever, 27, right? Come in, valuable minutes at the backup big. They have more guys who have been in this position, are comfortable, familiar in this position. Marcus Smart, Defensive Player of the Year. Robert Williams could have been Defensive Player of the Year. And Miami has an amazing Jimmy Butler. They got Bam Adebayo. They got Tyler Hero. Kyle Lowry when he gets back. PJ Tucker, championship DNA. So that's what I meant when these teams play exactly alike. They remind me of each other in so many levels. But if I had to pick, I'll have to go Boston. And 6 or 7, you know what I mean? I'm going to go 7 right now. Boston is 7, final vote. All right. On to the Western Conference. All right. Luka's a special dude. Luka's very special. We seen that Game 7 against Phoenix. We seen that when he beat Phoenix. They weren't supposed to beat Phoenix. He did that. But they came out in Game 1. They shot 36% from the field, 23% from the 3, 66% from the free throw line. And then on the flip side, all 5 Warriors scored in double digits. So, okay. It's like what Draymond was saying about the Memphis Grizzlies, that the Memphis Grizzlies weren't playing good basketball against the Minnesota Timberwolves, but the Timberwolves weren't a good team, so they were able to get away with that. You play not so great basketball against the Warriors like Memphis did in that second round, they're going to finish it, especially no John Morant, right? But this is a prime case of the Mavericks shouldn't be here. I don't think that. I think when you get in a Game 7, anything is possible. So I'm not taking anything away from Dallas. But Phoenix were a better team than the Dallas Mavericks. They are a better team than the Dallas Mavericks. They squandered opportunities. J. Kidd and the Dallas Mavericks picked it up defensively later in that series and just made life hard for them. So they won it. It's theirs. But they're not on the same playing field as Golden State. And that's not me saying this because they come out and they lose by 30-something in Game 1. That's not that. It's the makeup of the team, right? It is, Pat Bev said it best, the Warriors have seen this movie before. Literally, Pat Bev said it. They played 35 points per game, James Harden. They played James Harden and Chris Paul. They played, young OKC. They played those Memphis teams. They played those Spurs teams. You know what I mean? Like, they have played great teams in time and time again. They played Portland with Dame and CJ. Right, more with firepower. And right now, when you got a guy like Luka, who does a bulk of the scoring, who does a bulk of the playmaking, who is a bulk load of the offense, you focus in on him. This is an ideal game for the Warriors to come out, limit Dallas to terrible shooting, beat the brakes off of them early, know that they're going to come back and play hard next game, but beat the brakes off of them early so that way you establish your dominance, right? You establish that you've been here before. And yes, Luka is amazing, but is he amazing enough to take them past the Golden State Warriors? And the Dallas Mavericks aren't going to give up, but this was a great game to say no. It was a great game to be like, no, Luka's great, but he's not great enough to beat us as a team because all 5 starters scored in double digits. There wasn't one guy who went off. Jordan Poole led the team in field goals made with 8. So this was a great game in game 1, dominating fashion at home to be like, hey, Luka, you're nice, but when you run up against this championship team, this championship DNA, we are the Orlando Magic, and you are Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? And then one thing for the Warriors, man, and a big thing for the Warriors is Andrew Wiggins has been great. I was glad Klay Thompson was back after All-Star break, so it allowed Andrew Wiggins to be an All-Star, right? It allowed him to start. His shots were up a little more. His productivity was up a little more. It allowed him to play like a superstar because they needed him to play like a superstar. Klay came back. Shots went down, percentages went down, points went down, production went down. And that's why I was like, that's exactly why I was happy he was able to play like a superstar in the absence of Klay, right? I was happy for that. But now in this postseason, because from All-Star break, right? After All-Star break, Klay came back. Andrew Wiggins wasn't the same. But in this postseason, he's averaging 15 points a game, 7 boards, 49% from the field, 40% from the 3. It's 39, but I'm gonna give my man 40. He working out there. 40% from the 3, and he has a block a game and a steal a game. All that production from Andrew Wiggins, and he's not even a guy you have to run plays for. He's your 4th option, right? After Steph, Klay, Poole, yeah, Wiggs is right there. So he's your 4th option, and that's what you're getting 15 and 7, 50 from the field, 40 from the 3 from your 4th option. That is Mikal Bridges-esque. I got on here a little while ago and I was talking about what Mikal Bridges does for that team in that 4th scoring role and how much productivity he gives that team is why they're so good. Andrew Wiggins has been great throughout this whole postseason. If A. Wiggs can stay right where he is, he's nowhere near a bust. He might not have had the most potential you would want from a number 1 draft pick. But right now, during winning time, he's everything they need. He came out, he was super aggressive. He had like 15 3/4 into the game, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot when you're sharing with those guys that he shares with. So that spark makes defenders stay closer to him, and it makes defenses worry about one more thing. You already got Draymond finding every single person on the floor. Steph Curry had 21 points, 12 rebounds. This team epitomizes what winning basketball is. Like I said, the Jordan Poole leads the team with 8 field goals made. Andrew Wiggins has a great game. He has 20. Steph grabs 12 rebounds. You win by 30. They're going to take care of Dallas in 5. That's a little disrespectful to Luka's talent. So if anything, the maximum is 6. But really, they're going to take care of these guys in 5. It's no question. But man, you know, those are game 1. Game 2 is tonight for the East. We will have games 2 and 3 on Monday when I'm back here. It feels good to be back. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Breathe new life within us. Send a refreshing love. Purify our hearts. Let your glory fill.